Back in the year of 2015, when I was still a believer in that one lucky break, I thought I'd finally got it. The not long launched Creative Commission, an online platform that links creatives with music labels, had a brief outline for a music video. They had the track, a reference to the sort of dance style they liked called tricking, and a budget of £7,000, approximately $9,000. I stayed in on a Sunday afternoon on the couch of my oval basement flat to put some words into the form of a treatment. It's the year 2613, and the world is far from that of which we know today. The human race has evolved, and dance is the force that powers only the very elite to survival. Two men, no longer able to stand the injustice in a classist system that sees hope only for those born into aristocracy, form an underground rebellion. Beneath the streets of the capital, an army is growing. An elite club of trickers train under the watchful eye of their two intrepid leaders. The time is nigh. The time is nigh. What was 2015 me thinking? Well, I was trying to paint some sort of picture, encapsulate the reader in my idea. I developed a bit of an explanation about what would actually happen in the video and what would take place. Included some reference photos, bearing in mind this was 7 years ago and my treatment game wasn't quite as on point as it might be now. A little bit more information about how to make a tasty treatment here. Anyway, I submitted the treatment just in time for the deadline. I think it was due on the Monday. A week or so after submitting, I get a call from the commissioner, who turns out is actually working on behalf of a more senior commissioner at ARRi. Amazingly, they love my idea and they really want to work with me, but they're quick to point out that I don't really have the experience to be handling this sort of thing on my own. They want me to find a production company they know and trust to work alongside with. Oh yeah, they think my idea is bigger than the initial £7,000 budget. They're going to more than triple it to nearly £25,000, approximately $33,000. What? This is gonna be epic! This is my shot. Only big budget sexy music videos from here on out. I've made it. I was actually on the first day of a 4-day holiday away with my flatmates when I got the news. So I then spent several hours of each day on phone calls and emails trying to secure a production company and a DOP I was super keen to bring on board with the project, as well as buffing out my treatment as per the commissioner's boss's requests. We feel it could benefit from an emotive addition to the narrative. So I had this section about a guy and his brother getting pulled apart, almost entirely ripping off Hunger Games at this point, it would seem. Less the dancing. I had super high ambitions for my DOP. The wildly talented and successful Steve Annis, who I'd witnessed creating magic as a 21-year-old when shooting a behind the scenes on another music promo he was working on. After having been chasing his reps at Lux for the best part of a week, I eventually got a no, not interested. In hindsight, I totally get it. He'd been on commercial projects back to back for several months, and even though Steve and his team would have been the most expensive cost on our shoot, he still wouldn't have been making nearly as much as he would be on any commercial shoot days. And I was, still am, fairly unknown, unproven director with no big kudos to my name in the music video world. So why would either he or his agency want him to take a chance on my project? It didn't make any career or financial sense. I then had to find a production company that were respected and trusted enough by the label to work with me on this. I turned to Code, who through some means or another I had the loosest of connections with. I can't actually remember how. I think maybe I'd reached out to them about representation in the past, or had met one of their owners through mutual acquaintances. Not sure, but either way I told them about the project, and the budget, being a semi-decent one for the size of their music video department at the time, was enough to have them along for the ride, and maybe do a bit of the steering too. I was fairly clueless in a number of areas, and just had to put my trust in those with more experience than me. The production company brought in a seasoned producer who they assured me was the nuts. I didn't know of any other DPs at the time, so started asking around for recommendations, whilst Code reached out to other DPs that they'd worked with before. It seemed like, as soon as the words music video were mentioned, along with my lack of clout in that world, interest was lost from all DPs that I had the remotest of interest in working with. Budgets were outlined. When I was told we couldn't afford the team needed and the rental costs of a track and dolly, but might be able to make a lower end Steadicam op work, I was quick to raise my hand saying, I don't need a fee, that can go towards paying them. I was all in. This was my shot. I gave it a solid 4 weeks of my life's attention and everything I could give it to make it the best it could possibly be. When the catering budget was coming in a little too high, or we didn't have enough budget for art department, I was there again. I'll edit it, you can use that money. I can do the grade too. I didn't necessarily understand or appreciate the importance of a good colorist at the time. We looked at tons of locations. The best ones were a no. No, because supposedly the budget couldn't afford a generator, or the cost of bringing in portaloos, and we were looking for a derelict looking space, so there were plenty where power and toilets just weren't available. As the label was seemingly taking a risk on me, they were asking for a lot up front. Again, I was keen to impress and prove myself, so I tried to deliver regular updates on everything. Full transparency. Costume details, location details, props. I even took the time to storyboard everything and then create an animatic to the track, as a lot of things need to be very precise for the timings to work, making sure to hit the right beats for some very specific changes and transitions in the track. I communicated back and forth with the art department, called in some favours of my own to get some key props as cheap as possible via a friend who worked in the sign/flag printing business, met with potential lead castings, did costume fittings, sat through shortlists casting the additional roles. We finally managed to find a DOP that had some decent work on their reel, was available, we could afford, and the commissioner would sign off on. Recce'd the final location a couple times more, once with the DOP. I was definitely a lot less clued up on cinematography at this point 7 years ago. When the DP said it was going to be trickier to shape the light because of the limited crew and the amount of natural light they were going to have to fight against, I took, we'll make it work the best we can as it'll be all good. When the producer assured me that this location was the only one that would meet all our requirements. I had a first AD on board, assistant director. We'd gone through the schedule thoroughly in the days before. He'd advised on where I should spend more time and where we'd need to trim down. A first AD is a luxury that I've only had on set a few times as a director since this experience, but it's so helpful on set, really helping to keep on top of everyone and timings. I was both very excited and nervous for the actual shoot day. I remember feeling slightly belittled when the talents manager that I met on the day for the first time let out an enormous laugh and exclaimed for everyone to hear that I couldn't possibly be the director as I was too young. I think I was 26, maybe looked a little younger. I felt like I'd earned my right to have won this job, but took it for what it was. I sound like I was too sensitive, but I definitely remember it knocking me on the day. Neither the commissioner nor the commissioner's commissioner were able to attend the actual shoot day. So they sent in a standing commissioner. Wrongly or rightly, I was consistently looking for her approval, making sure that her and the artists were happy before we moved on. The cheaper Steadicam op who was eating into my fee was not good at his job. You get what you pay for, I guess, but it really affected the shots we were meant to be getting with him, wasting both time and having effect on the quality of the work. But after a short setback, I felt like we'd got enough to make it work in the edit. At the end of the day, I felt pretty chuffed. There were loads of smiles and congratulatory, "That was great, you smashed it," pub. Everyone was super happy. I went home feeling accomplished. I then spent several days at the desk at the end of my bed honing and tightening the edit. I preemptively queued up an older, much more experienced and skilled music video editor than myself, who was willing to feed back and give me notes on the video ahead of sending to the label. The production company said they were digging it. My friends said they were digging it. I was digging it. We sent it off for review. A few days later, I get an email asking if I'm available for a call with the elusive top dog commissioner. He hates the video and is very vocal about it. I thought it was going to be all dark and moody. I thought we were getting Steve Annis to shoot it. The costumes feel cheap. The lead isn't right. I was taken aback. I'm a little confused because I've been sending over regular updates for the past few weeks ahead of shooting. So you knew everything about everything. Well, I've been on holiday the last few weeks. Awesome. See what you can do to fix it in the edit. A bunch of revisions over the next week, destroying the timed whips and match-framed moments. I even tried some stock footage and graphics in an attempt to appease the commissioner's taste. Another week passes when I finally get a call from someone at the production company. They've canned the video. Sorry, dude. So the video never saw the light of day, until the few clips you've seen now. I destroyed my relationship with the commissioners at Sony. Code, the production company who have been talking about wanting to work with me more and possibly represent me, have been silent for the rest of time. And I wasted 4 weeks of my life, missing out on other work, but not even a single penny. Not a thank you, not a showreel piece, nothing. Except now, maybe something. An experience I can share with you, and I'm quite happy sharing these rushes all these years later, as I literally never even received the £1 courtesy fee you're supposed to receive to secure the contracts that I had to sign. I talked the other month about how, for me at least, and I think for most, the idea of one lucky break is a myth. Experiences like this one can really knock your confidence, and in my experience at least, music videos are certainly not a way to make a living, unless you're Director X. If you have other options, don't give your time and talents to labels. It's probably not worth your while. Now, I'm not totally slating music videos. I know I probably sound like I've got a bit of a chip on my shoulder. I know that this was just a bad experience, one of several music video related bad experiences that I've had, but there are positives that come from them. Collaboration, creativity, and relationship building amongst them. I think this is just my way of saying don't hedge all your bets on one project and make sure you're being rewarded, whether that be financially or otherwise, for your efforts. If you haven't subscribed yet, then you probably should. And make sure to come back again soon for more semi-helpful tips and interesting insider industry knowledge.